Start recording. And we're on that. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, I'll take one.
Oh, wait, mic's on. Hold on. Turn your mic on, Shann.
Oh. Okay, it is.
Hello, everyone. It is Mitch with Neighbors Cooking, Favorite Chef, Top 5 competition in just 1 minute and 48 seconds. 1 minute and 48 seconds. I'm going to know whether or not I have made the top 5. I want to do that live because we started this journey together 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, there were hundreds of us in this competition. We're down to the top 5 in 1 minute and 30 seconds. Because of all of you, I have received over 60,000 votes. I've had 100,000 people look at our videos, and I've interacted with at least 10,000 of you through individual messages that you've all have sent. Your support has been amazing, and this journey has been so exciting. So I wanted to bring you live when the results come on for the top 5. I'm currently in 3rd place. I'm looking at my computer over here because we have 58 seconds. So Joe, I'm going to have you come around here, and we are going to watch. Yeah, I'm so nervous. So Joe, we're going to watch this, and in 47 seconds, we're going to see who is in the top 5. I've had a lot of messages from people that have asked me who the little girl is, and that's she's almost like a niece to me. She's one of my best friend's daughters, and she used to cook in the kitchen with me all the time during COVID because that was in my bubble. And so she was my taste tester and just my little cook. So Emma, thank you for being there all the time. Hello, Lorena. I also want to say hello to my grandmother out in Louisville, Kentucky. Hey, Kaylin. I hope that you can watch. We're 12 seconds away. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to refresh. And I'm in the top 5! Woo! I made it! Oh my God! Hey! Ah! Look at that. Top 5. Oh my God. That is so exciting. I am just beyond myself. I could not be here without each and every one of you supporting me. I have Joe that has been behind the camera every single week during the live shows. Thank you, Joe. Much appreciated. And each week I have had a guest. I call them neighbor guests because they are people that I know, that I cherish, that are important people in our community here in Palm Springs who have been super supportive of me. So today we are going to go clear across the world, and we are going to go to Lebanon. And my guest today is Miss Shann Carr. She is a local comedian, activist, most importantly, a friend. And I want to bring Shann on. Shann!
Hello, Shann! Yay! Go watch them live!
Top 5.
Top 5! Congratulations!
No, usually Shann's the star.
No, I'm happy to be your backup dancer.
So she is my backup dancer today. And Shann has this incredible history that we don't have time to go into all today.
Not.
But, Shann started off entertaining first at the Parliament House back in when? What year was that?
Well, I went to the Parliament House for the first time in 1984. I came out to my parents on a vacation to Orlando, Florida, and then said, I'm not coming home. I'm gay. I'm going to go find gay people. So they left me, and I called a cab, and I said, take me somewhere gay. And they took me to the Parliament House. And maybe 7 or 8 years later, I was actually performing at the Parliament House, which, unfortunately, we lost it to COVID.
We did. We did. That was part of our history gone. But
yeah, 38 years, 40 years.
Yeah, well, I used to live in Atlanta, and Backstreet was the big bar.
Yeah.
For 40 years, I think, until it was shut down. So,
and Sports Page, and I know them. Sadly, I can tell you the bar in every town. Mostly because I worked there, not because I drank there. Right. Although,
yeah, I got some more for you.
Okay.
Cheers.
All right, what are we doing?
So we are cooking one of your regional favorites, and it is called?
It is called Mujadara. Like 2 M's, like it starts with because it's so good.
Yes.
And I fed it to so many white people, like,
me.
And even with no ethnic taste bud, it's been a a winner. I will say I've never really had to look at the recipe, so I went trolling on the internet. And of course, my family makes it different than everybody else, but better, of course. So we're gonna do it. It's lentils and rice that are cooked in like 5 caramelized blackened onions. And then on top of this hot lentils and rice with onions goes a beautiful, crisp, fresh salad with a dressing of lemon and olive oil, cinnamon, mint, salt, pepper, and garlic, and then yogurt on top of that. So hot food with a crispy salad with a cool, I was learning my measurements, blob of yogurt. Yeah.
So when she sent me the recipe, most things that I make on the show I have made before. And so it's easy in my head to go through them. I had never made this before.
Correct.
So you sent me the recipe.
Then you changed everything. And then we're going to do somewhere in between.
Yeah. So I made it today and it came out really well.
You like tasted it or just looked pretty?
No, I tasted it
Okay,
and
all right.
I took some pretty pictures.
The picture
too.
was pretty, yeah.
See?
Absolutely.
I think you were impressed when you saw that.
I was. Look, I was like, all right.
Looks kind of like it.
I want to lick it and sniff it, but it looks good.
So we're going to go over what's in the recipe for the Mujadara. Oh, don't be mad at
My
me.
relatives, they're rolling over.
Don't roll over. But I appreciate that I love this food and I love all foods from all cultures. And that's really what cooking is about in the kitchen for me. It's bringing together cultures and friends and recipes and sharing them and enjoying the stories that come from them.
Yep.
Right? I mean, I'm sure you have a story about this recipe.
Just that it's a lifelong staple, and even like as a darkie, I've always dated see-through freckledy people. Everyone in our family, every brown hook-nosed person has dated a whitey, and they all go crazy. So my best girlfriend used to get the whole team of her softball team to chant Mujadara. Mujadara. And if she got a home run, I had to do all the work. There you go. As a chant, now it's right. Okay.
Yeah, because we chant about everything,
Yes,
right?
we do.
We're here, we're queer. So anyways, I'm going to give you the ingredients for what goes in it. And then I'm going to send Shann off back here to our little stove. And she is going to start making all of this wonderful dish. So for the Mujadara, right? Close enough.
For the food.
For the food, the ingredients that are going in this are 1 cup of brown or green lentils.
Yep.
Depending what you choose. You can have either white or brown rice, a cup of that. You're going to take 4. I'm going to say 6 because
I use 6, but the internet said 4, so I didn't want to overdose anybody. But yeah, I do 6.
So when I made it today, I realized how important onions are in this recipe.
It's all about it. Yeah.
So we're going to do 6 large yellow onions, thinly sliced, olive oil, and salt and pepper. Pretty basic, pretty simple, right?
It really is.
But it's when we start to layer on all of those extra flavors that it's going to make the difference. So the lentils, you're going to rinse very well, about 3, 4, 5 minutes. Now, if you read the lentil package, it tells you to go through and pick out the bad lentils. What's a bad lentil?
Have I ever done it? No, they say there's stones that get into it.
Oh, there's stones. Okay.
I've always been like,
What's a stone?
I mean, I've never seen one.
Right? If we can pass them, we can eat them.
You're just that expensive,
Yes.
bridge or whatever.
So you're going to rinse your lentils off. You're also going to rinse your brown rice off. Now, that's if you're using long grain basmati rice. If you're using instant rice, shame on you. But we're going to use the lentils and the brown rice. Those have already been rinsed, and Shann's going to go to work back here.
On the onions?
On the onions, yeah. So there's olive oil, the pan's on. You can turn it up as high as you like.
I would put the lentils in at the same time. No?
The lentils in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the lentils
So they kind of happen. Wait a minute. Are we cooking them in the steamer?
No, you're just going to...
Oh, I get it. Okay, all right. Hey, I get it. The magic of television. Okay, no, I get it.
She wanted to know if I did all the onions in advance, and I did.
My God.
And now she's like, where are they? What are we going to do?
Okay.
So one of the things she said I changed in her recipe was that I said thinly sliced onions. So I kind of liked the length. In her recipe, she chopped them all up into little tinier pieces.
Middle Eastern food, all the tabboulehs and they're all this knife work of tiny little, it is.
Yeah. And I know all of you don't have necessarily the time to do all of that knife work and get all these fine little pieces, but that would be how you would do it. we're going to kind of do the American version.
Yeah.
And we are going to get things going. So the first thing that Shann is doing is she's doing some onions. And so we're going to cut our onions. These are yellow onions. These are like Vidalia onions, sweet onions. You don't want to use red onions. They won't caramelize the way they're supposed to. And for simplicity here, I'm going to use my mandolin because I love my mandolin, right? If you've never used one, buy one. It saves you so much time. I know it's kind of cool and fancy to go, really fast with your knives and lose a finger. But, so you just, put this on. There's different measurements on it. I got this on Amazon for like $9. So you can, a really good deal. Such a deal. So you just put it on, slice it through, even pressure. Saves time. When we're talking about cooking in the kitchen and we want to save some time, just look how beautiful those are. And they're all the same size, so that means that they will cook and caramelize at the same time together. So we don't end up with thicker onions and thinner onions, and some are caramelized and some aren't. So Shann, I'm going to give you these extra onions.
Oh, all right.
Now I know that looks like a lot of onions if we're looking in the pan.
But it cooks down into almost a paste.
Yes, yes.
And the onions, you have to cook them. I know it sounds crazy, but until they are almost burned. A few of them will be burned, but they should be as dark brown as they possibly. So that just makes them, all those onions turn into a blob like that. Yeah.
And the flavor in it is absolutely amazing. So we've got Shann doing that part. So as she was sharing with you before, we add, so we get these lentils and this rice and we mix those all together. And so we start the lentils, and there's 4 cups of water to 2 cups of lentils.
And it depends on what kind of lentils you get, and it depends on what kind of rice you get.
Yes.
So pick your water, because the lentils I had the other day from the store were 2 to 1, and I looked at the bag here, it was 4 to 1.
Yeah.
And if you use white rice, it's 2 to 1. If you use brown rice, what is it?
2 to 1.
Okay.
But brown rice takes
longer, right? So all of that.
So you've got to think about that in your cooking time. So if you're trying to cook this in a bigger hurry, you're going to want to use white rice or brown rice that cooks faster than 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the lentils will be done in 15 to 20 minutes if we do it if they come out correctly. So we've got.
Actually, you take the lentils and you cook them for about 5 minutes, which they have done right now.
All right.
And which one is the back? Okay, so then you turn those off and you set them aside, because you can see they're already parboiled, right? And you don't want the lentils to get mushy. So I'm just going to set them there.
And then the other 2 cups of water that would normally go in the lentils, because you've got, 2 cups of lentils or a cup of lentils and what was the direction? Now I'm going to have to look at my bag.
Well, you're still going to need 4 cups for those if it says 4 cups.
Yes,
so I put those 4 cups in. The other 2 cups, that's this.
That's that.
All right.
I thought that went in the onion.
But this needs 4. The water that goes in the onions is the water that's actually for the rice.
Oh, okay.
Right? But you have to wait till the onions are black.
All right.
So if that needed 4 cups, I'm going to put the 4 cups
that needs to go in there. I know that's a little confusing. So when I made it today, I kind of did it the white version, and the best I could take her recipes in my head and figure out the best way to do it in time. So I did 2 cups of water. I let them cook for about 5 minutes. I took them off. Once the onions were cooked down and we had that caramelization going on, I put that water into the onion.
So now you still need 2 cups to go into the onions. Do you have a version of the done onions hiding in there?
No.
Okay.
No. So we're going to do the onions all the way through.
Okay. That's about at least a 30-minute relationship, cooking those onions down. I try to get I have like a monster skillet, so they can get as much contact as they can. So then it all ends up in a big pot like this.
The bigger the skillet, the better. They will cook. So if you have a bigger, I just have a smaller house kitchen, so I don't have room for huge pans.
Yes.
Shann has every imaginable device in her kitchen. I've never seen so much stuff.
Even some personal devices.
We won't talk about those.
Okay.
So, right. So as the onions are going, we're going to start with the toppings. Now, Shann, I had this, when I got it done, it was all cold by the time I did all my photographs and stuff, and it was really good cold.
Yeah, you eat it cold, lukewarm, or I like it hot when you have the time, but
Yeah.
they do it always.
Yeah. So this can be a great cold meal for you. It can be a hot meal. It can be everything in between.
Yep.
There's no right or wrong from what I
vegetarian.
gather. It's vegetarian. So, and the protein that you get from the lentils is incredible.
It really is. It's a complex because we're going to have lentils, rice, the vegetables of the salad goes on top of it,
Right.
and then it's topped with a blob of yogurt. So you've got the dairy and the grain and the bean and the vegetables.
Yeah.
It's
Super healthy
Yeah.
and very filling. I couldn't even eat my entire plate today.
Yeah.
I took a couple plates to my neighbors because they love every time I cook, they can smell it out the door. So they always, I think they wait for me when I finish the show just to bring food over. But that's okay. I love cooking. You know, I've been cooking. I went to culinary school in my 20s and because I thought I wanted to be a chef, and I realized I couldn't be this, couldn't be Julia Child. We didn't have streaming media, and we didn't have the ability to do all these things. We still had dial-up AOL. For those of you who don't know what that is, you used to have to dial into a modem, and you'd get this long noise. And as long as you got a connection, you were in. But if you got any, like if you had call waiting on your line,
oh, you're done.
and a call came through, you lost your connection, you had to start all over again. And on AOL, America Online, you only had like 20 people in a room that fit, and so there was just a very small audience.
It's true.
You know, so we have come light years. For me to have 100,000 people watching the show is incredible. So anyways, we are going to get back to our recipe. So we're going to make the dressing first. So the salad dressing that we're going to end up making takes a 1/4 cup of olive oil, a 1/2 cup of lemon juice.
Equal parts, a third and
A third and a third. Okay, so that's, I'm looking far away. 1/3 and a 1/3, equal parts. 4 shakes, very specific.
I don't know. I don't know. Blob. Again.
Cinnamon, 4 shakes of cinnamon, a 1/4 cup of dried mint, 10 large mint leaves, roughly chopped, chopped garlic, and salt and pepper. So we're going to make that right now.
There we go.
All right, so let's get to that. So we're going to add our lemon juice.
You've already got all that measured out.
I do. Our olive oil, our dried mint,
Yeah, that looks right.
our garlic,
That's a lot.
half.
Yeah.
So about 4 teaspoons of garlic and cinnamon. 4 shakes. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You can add more, you can add less. It's really about what you feel comfortable with,
Chef?
right? Oh, thank you. Salt and pepper.
You got your chopped mint, your fresh mint in
I
there.
got my fresh mint right there.
So good.
And then, so I go out and buy, you can see I buy fresh herbs all the time. I always have them in my kitchen. So last week I had mint in the recipe, which I forgot to put in, so I had a whole lot of extra mint. So I just hang it up on my doors here and let it dry.
Perfect.
And then I've got a grinder when I want to grind up my mint. And then we've got this fresh mint. So I need a little bit more fresh mint than that. So we got some
Well,
here.
you got the, oh, there you go. Got the,
Yeah. So when you're using any herb, don't use the stems, please.
yeah.
Take the time to pull them off the stems because the stems aren't tasty and you don't want them in your food. Especially things like tarragon or sage or things like that. So you're just going to roughly chop. So just pull them all together
Yeah. Roll them up and go.
and just chop. And you're done. And that goes in. Voila.
And the dried mint, we take it and you put I put palmful. He made me think of an actual measurement. But then you take the dried mint and you just crush it between your hands.
And the reason you do that is because the oil that's trapped in the dry herbs
Then it
is
freeze
much.
Yeah.
If you handle it too much, all that oil comes out, and you end up with beautifully smelling hands. But
Okay, that looks amazing.
all right,
I want it now. My mother would make this in, like there was an old salad dressing that came with a packet and a little bottle with
Right.
the lid. And we would always have that Lebanese. And we're always going to want more lemon. We made it for normal humans. Is it lemony enough? Never. But yes, very close.
Very
yes.
close. All
Equal
right.
parts.
Equal parts. All right.
Good.
We're going to let that set. How are those onions doing?
They're
cooking
cooking.
now. Look at
Nothing's
that.
turning brown yet.
They will. Let's turn it up a little. There we go.
It's on high.
All right. So we've got our dressing made. Shann is busily making our onions, or getting our onions nice and brown. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to want to cut up our avocados. So in the salad, we are using iceberg lettuce. So I've taken iceberg lettuce and I've cut it up.
And it feels sacrilegious to use iceberg lettuce for anything, but it holds up to the hot of sitting on top.
So
of
a
it. Does.
spring mix would wilt right away. So this is harder. You could use cabbage maybe too.
Right, and I have before. And I've tried romaine, but that stuff holds up.
So you're going to cut up your lettuce. You're going to chop another sweet onion. We're going to have some yogurt that's the blob on top.
Goes at the end, yeah.
And some avocados. Now this is California. We get amazing, amazing produce.
Show me that.
And I got this avocado that is so heavy.
It is huge. There's 2 of them too. Just monster size avocado.
And they were like $1 at the store.
Crazy.
Right? So if you're going to cut your avocado up, and I'm going to change over to this camera here. In case I know some of you wonder what I'm doing when I'm looking down here. We've got streaming cameras that are doing the show.
Yeah.
And then we have the counter cams and then the live cams. So take your avocado, cut your end off, go down the middle to the seed. You'll feel it. And then just bring your knife all the way around. And voila. Take your seed out. And then to cut it, because we want chunks, right?
Yep, small though.
So I take my knife and I go along the outer edge. So I don't have to try and take it all out. Don't push too hard because you're going to cut yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And
beautiful.
Voila.
That avocado is perfect.
And you just use your spoon on the edge. And it all scoops out.
Perfecto.
And into our salad. All right, so we're going to do both of those. Look, see all the little pieces? Look how fabulous that looks.
That's pretty good.
And it saves you some time.
It does.
You know, just don't push too hard through your shell or you will end up with sliced up palms.
So for those of you everywhere else, I think it was 116 here in Palm Springs.
Yes.
The cameraman and all of us under the lights are like we're in what
Heat
is
box.
that? What is the oven that we all have now? An air fryer.
An air fryer.
The apartment is similar to an air fryer. And once you do that avocado, you got to pour your dressing over it so the avocado pieces don't get brown.
So we're going to take our dressing and put it all over the top of all of that.
Yes.
Get all your mint out.
Yes.
Don't waste any of that spice.
Good.
All right, and then the next thing we're going to add in is the onion. So we've got this chopped onion, and we're going to go ahead and put that in to it. Again, finely chopped. And we're going to mix all that together. Oops. Should have gotten a bigger bowl. All right, there we go. So,
Truthfully, I know you said for 2 or 4 or whatever,
yep.
but this is a waste of time to make for this is more like 6 or 8.
Yeah.
Because it's the kind of thing that gets better and better every single day in your fridge. It freezes beautifully. So I usually make more than I need so that there's something to put up and something to share. And again, it freezes beautifully.
And your freezer is always full of wonderful things.
Stuff left over from every party.
She had, I go over to Shann's pretty regularly, and she had a movies by the pool the other day.
Yep.
And we watched a movie called Forks.
Forks, and the woman was Susan Kinniger, the woman who won Top Chef.
Yes.
And opened a bunch of restaurants, and then opened the restaurant suite. And her story, I don't know if I got the name right. Kensinger?
I think it's
Kinniger,
yeah.
But amazing. It was really good. And you fell in love with my weirdo pops, right?
I did. So she made these avocado ice cream pops.
They were little push-up pops, but I cheated because I was making 4 other things. So I took half avocado and half ice cream. I put it in the Cuisinart and I piped it into these little push-up push pop things, a little crystals of lemon or something in it. So good.
So good. So if you can't get your kids to eat avocados, do that. Half avocado, half vanilla ice cream, and then get some lemon crystals like Crystal Light or
lemon,
whatever you can find. Add it in, put it in. Shann had these cool pop push-ups, so she put them in and put them in the freezer. And they were so good. And the nice thing is they didn't drip over everything.
Right, because they got a little thingy.
They got a little thingy, right? So we're going to move that over a little bit. And so we've got our salad done. Now, I need my cucumbers. Forgot my cucumbers.
Oh, those sweet little baby Persians.
Sweet little baby Persians. And the tomatoes. So these are little Persian. You can use English cucumbers if you want.
Yep.
Or Persians. Don't use regular cucumbers. They just don't have the same flavor.
It's just they're too seedy, so they make the dressing wet.
Yeah. So you're going to cut them in quarters and then just cut.
Yeah, you got it. Again, that's the thing about a lot of these Lebanese dishes like tabbouleh. It's tiny little, that's perfect, right? Tiny little pieces of veg.
A veg. All right.
I've done weird things. I've replaced the rice with farro or barley. All kinds of weird things. You really can do whatever suits you. You just got to obey the water and the time, depending on what you change.
And remember, when you're cutting or when you're scraping the things that you're cutting, don't use the sharp end of your knife. That's what the back end of your knife is for. All right. Otherwise, you're going to end up getting your knife sharpened every month.
Where does one do that?
Ace.
Really?
Yeah, Ace Hardware here will sharpen your knives. I do them about every 3 months.
Oh, okay.
And
can you sharpen a serrated knife?
you cannot sharpen a serrated knife.
Right.
So serrated knives.
You just gotta go buy another one?
Well, serrated knives don't really get that much use. You cut them, you use bread with them. There's not a lot of uses with serrated knives, so you don't use them as often.
Okay.
So that's why you don't have to sharpen them as much. So we're going to add in our cucumbers. You seen any brown over there?
Not a bit.
Oh my goodness. Maybe we need to take some out. So the problem we're having is our cutting surface or our cooking surface. Well, it's starting. I can see some brown happening.
Do you? Okay.
I can see the brown down there. So they'll be done. They'll be done in just a couple minutes, or maybe 5.
Do you want a bigger bowl?
I do want a bigger bowl.
Where would we find that?
That's a good question. Where would I find a bigger bowl? Oh, I know. In my cabinet. Here we go. All right.
That's perfect. Getting it in there tosses it anyhow.
All right. So we're going to add all of this in. Don't waste. Let's blend all that together. And then the other thing that goes into this salad are tomatoes. You have all seen me cut tomatoes. I don't do them the way everybody else does them.
Oh, you put them between the two?
I put them between the lids. So this is a food container lid. I just put them between. You see that, Joe? A little bit of pressure. Take your knife through the open end and cut across. You have to have a sharp knife for this to work. Cut across and all your tomatoes are cut in half.
Lovely.
So, missed a couple, but that's all right. And then there we go. And we'll cut these last few up. Okay, so that's a much longer process, one by one. All right. And we're going to add some salt and pepper into this. Now, in the interest of time, we of course have already cooked our rice and our lentils. So in our case, it's going to be some warm and some cold stuff. The onions will be warm. So look how beautiful that is. And it's delicious.
It is lovely.
All right, so we got that. Let's clear some space over here. So the next thing we're going to add, we're going to hand me the lentils and the brown rice.
Okay.
So these are our cooked lentils. All right, so when we cooked these, we ended up cooking them with the onion water, right?
Right. Once the onions are blackened, you put the water for the rice in them, and you cook the onions and the water for a minute so that the water turns dark brown, and then you pour in the uncooked lentils and rice. So the lentils and rice cook in this onion water, which is the whole thing that makes this what it is.
So the problem with that is if the lentils take longer than the rice takes,
Then you have to start with the lentils first.
Right.
If the rice takes longer, you start with the rice first.
So I started with the lentils, and I did 2 cups of water in the lentils for about 5 minutes and set it aside.
Yep.
And then I put the extra 2 cups of water in this after I took some of the onions out.
Yep.
And then I mixed the other 2 cups, and then I added that all back into the lentils and let it cook 10 more minutes.
There you go.
So ended up with the same end result.
Yeah.
The reason you want the onion water in the lentils is
And the rice.
and the
They
rice
both cook in
is for the flavor,
onions.
right?
Because what?
For the flavor.
Yeah, that's the whole flavor of it, is the onions cooking that stuff.
So we're going to add the lentils and the brown rice together.
I'm already moaning.
Right. All right. We are not having good luck with these onions. Let's take some out.
Okay.
And
I'm
then,
just put them in here.
yeah.
You have like a grabby doohickey or a...
So we're going to take some of the onions out because we went a little bit crazy with onions.
Well, plus you would anyway. They'd just be... Ouch.
Sorry.
That's okay.
There we go.
Okay, now we can maybe get those to brown up.
There we go.
Now that we got more room in there.
All right. So you know that we're in the favorite chef competition top 5.
Top 5.
I know, crazy.
That's
five.
so good.
I am so excited about that and so proud about that. But you have to continue voting over the next 4 weeks. So I want to explain a little bit about how this all worked. 4 weeks ago, there were 1,000 of us in this competition. Within the first week, there only remained 200 of us. So after the first week, 800 people were gone.
Amazing.
And that left 200 of us. Over the next 4 weeks, every single week, 10 people have been dismissed from the competition. And some of them are great chefs. I'll be honest, I haven't looked at a lot of their stuff because I don't want them up in my head. But there's a lot of amazing chefs. In my group, there's one in particular, the person who's ahead of me. I think she seems to be an amazing cook, a Persian cook. And I love food from Persia. It's got, same thing, the curries and the turmeric.
It's the same
Middle Eastern cuisine. And, but we're all dependent upon you guys voting, going on. And every day I post a new recipe that I painstakingly have written over the last 20 years. And I'm proud of the stuff that we're putting up. All of the pictures that you see are all recipes, are all things I've cooked over the last 4 weeks. So everything is fresh that I've made. There's no old pictures. So I've been cooking up a storm. My grocery store loves me every time I walk in. They're like, oh, here he comes. Get the bags ready. But every day I cook fresh. I think it's important if you can cook in your kitchen. Bring your kids in, bring your family in. It should be a family experience.
It should be.
Cooking brings memories. It builds memories. I can remember, when I was young and starting to cook, the Galloping Gourmet, Graham Carr was the chef, was the Julia Child, was the Martha Stewart of the day. And I was 14 years old, I guess, and I started watching these episodes of Graham Carr when I was young because I was struggling with my own identity. And so I found safety in the kitchen. And I found a place where I could be creative and nobody would judge me because who judges people's food?
Especially when they're going, oh my God, that's so good. Right?
So it became a safe place for me and I would watch him religiously. I would run home from school, his show came on at 3 o'clock, and I would watch the whole show and I would write down the recipe and then my mom would take me to the grocery store and buy the items. And the very first time I cooked for the whole family, my mom swore up and down that my dad wouldn't eat it. She said, because we're British. So Brits are not famous for their food, and it's usually overcooked and boiled, and so, or fried. And so I cooked this dish one night, and my dad tasted it. He didn't know I was cooking, and he was like, "Oh my God, Maeve," that's what he called my mom. this is amazing. I've never had this. And she was so disappointed in her face that I had outcooked her. You know, but my mom was raised in a very privileged environment. They had people that cooked. They had, you know, so she didn't have to learn how to cook. So when she came to America, she was not a cook. She had a child. She didn't know what to do. And so she just kind of had to start making things as she went along. So her idea of spaghetti sauce was ground beef, a packet of spaghetti seasoning, and a can of tomato sauce, and that was spaghetti, right? Really gross. Really gross. And, you know, and she cooked the same thing each day of the week. So Monday was spaghetti night. Tuesday was overcooked beef. Wednesday was liver. Thursday, you know. And Friday was the night I looked forward to because we went out.
I would too.
But all of those memories, all of those experiences in the kitchen will always resonate with me. And they do with you also. If it's a birthday party or a special dinner or a graduation or just the family getting back together, it makes such a difference when you're in the kitchen and you're sharing in these recipes. This recipe will now become part of my repertoire.
Good.
And I will share it with other people, and I will make it for other people because it's delicious.
Yeah.
And I will always have these memories of cooking here under these hot lights in the hot sun.
It's so hot. Over the stove.
Over the stove, but...
You know, my mom was a very ambitious cooker, and we were military, so we lived all over the world, and she learned to cook Panamanian food, and she learned to cook German food, and she was very good with the Lebanese food. Honestly, she never taught me anything. I learned a few things from my grandma, but when my mom got bored and kind of retired, she would study a country's food for a few months and then teach it at like adult college.
Oh, wow.
So we would eat from a different area, like every college quarter.
Right.
She would study one for a quarter and then teach it. And it all started with this dish, honestly.
Oh,
and
that's
then,
nice.
Yeah. So.
Well, and you know, anywhere you eat in the world, it's always, when I moved to the South, that was a whole different dining experience for me.
Even going on vacation, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, don't you always come home and try to recreate something?
I'm really good with that, though. I can do that.
Can you?
Yeah.
We were in Mexico last month, and we had hibiscus tacos. It was al pastor hibiscus tacos. So I thought they would be
Easy to recreate.
Pork marinated with hibiscus. But it was flowers, hibiscus flowers in a taco with al pastor spices.
Nice.
And there were a million recipes. We did come home and make it, not as well as they did, but
that's okay.
What a cool thing, right?
You know, cooking is trial and error.
Yeah.
When I lived in the South, I remember the first time I ate it was like in a diner. It might as well have been Mel's Diner off of, you know, the old TV show.
Yes.
Alice and they had their little outfits on and their little hats, and she and I had never had, of all things, chicken fried steak. And
you at the Waffle House?
It wasn't the Waffle House. I forget what it was called. It was like a little place in Atlanta. Southern Diner. And everything came in a bowl. Like the plate came with 5 different bowls. Like your vegetables were in one bowl and your potatoes in another bowl, and nothing touched. Because they don't like their food to touch for some reason.
Ooh.
And I always wonder, what are all the bowls for? Just throw it on a plate, make it easier. But
I've heard of people having issues with that before.
People do have some strange food habits.
It's a Southern thing?
It's a Southern thing. I've never understood it. But anyways, I ordered chicken fried steak and asked for it to be medium rare.
Oh.
Because I didn't know.
No.
And Alice, the waitress, said, "Honey, it comes one way. Breaded and fried."
Right.
So, but you know, in the South, everything is fried and
covered in gravy.
Covered in gravy. I had some people over one night, and we were doing just chili and cornbread. And I had never made cornbread. Another thing you would think any chef has made. I had probably made it, but not in a long, long time. And I went to the grocery store to get cornbread mix.
Okay.
Right? And there was this lovely black lady that was probably 120 years old, you know, and she had worked for the same family and was retired and still lived at their house. She was super sweet, and she saw me pick up this box of cornbread mix. And she was like, "Honey, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm making cornbread, man." And she says, "That is not how you make cornbread." And she came to my house.
Oh my God.
Right? She followed me in my car, and she made cornbread for me with all my friends.
Oh, that's great.
And all my friends were like, "You're the only person who could go to the store and come home with somebody to make cornbread." But Food will create that conversation.
And a bond.
And a bond.
There's someone you might not otherwise connect with.
Yes,
right?
and so it was really create those bonds, experience the different cultures and the different foods, because it truly brings people together. How are we doing? We're starting to get
Starting to brown.
Yay!
We're getting there.
So I think what I will do is I will start to plate just this. Those will hopefully keep getting browner.
Okay.
And so, as Shann was saying before, when we're going to plate this, we're going to do it in a kind of methodical way. So, let me just scoop. So, how much would you give a person? Like a rice bowl size amount?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to use a bowl like this. And we're just going to fill it up. My dogs are getting restless. They hear food, all right? And we're just going to put it over the top here. There we go. And then Shannon said you put a crater in the middle, so I'm going to make a crater.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, so we have a little crater here. I'm super particular about that. All right, there we go. Let me get some things from behind here. We're then going to put the salad. Well, do I put the blob in the hole? All right.
Salad in the hole.
Salad in the hole.
Salad in the hole. Get all those tomatoes for color. I probably should have told you to have more.
That's okay.
It's beautiful.
There we go. And then we're waiting for your onions, right?
No, the onions go in that.
Go in this.
They go in this.
Oh, let's see.
Right. This cooks in the onion water. So when the onion water is done,
okay,
you cook the rice and lentils in the onions and water.
Okay.
So if you want to put a blob of them around there, better than not in there at all, right? You want to grab some and, ooh, they're starting to get that actual
blackness.
A little bit.
So we're going to take a few of the
Take the blackest one. There you go.
All right, there we go. So we're going to take a blob of onions.
I'm getting out of the way.
And we're going to put those onions right up on the top. We'll swirl. And then we're going to take some yogurt. And to use Shann's word, we're going to put a blob right on the top.
On the hot onions. Okay. That's going to melt.
That's okay.
It'll be tasty, though.
And then just for me, we're going to put a little cinnamon over the top.
Blasphemous.
Blasphemous. And maybe a couple of little pieces of avocado. Another tomato.
You got all the right flavors in there. Lovely.
So here we go. So this is Mujadara.
Mujadara.
It's going to be delicious. I'm going to let Shann take the first bite.
Let's see. I'm going to steal some onions and get them in there with a little bit of yogurt and a maida. Check that out.
Good. Have we done you honor? Have we done you honor? Have we done your mother honor?
Indeed.
This is an amazing meal. It's been an amazing experience. I am so fortunate to have the friends and the supporters and all of you as followers. And I want to thank Shann for coming and cooking in my kitchen today and being my neighbor guest. Thank you so much. Next week we'll be doing another live show. I haven't decided yet what it's going to be, but it will be great because that's all we do here is great food at Neighbors Cooking. Thank you all for coming. Be sure and share this, like us, vote for us, and let's just take this whole thing global because in 4 more weeks, I plan on being the favorite chef. And when I win, $5,000 of that money goes to Palm Springs Pride. So go on to our site. Remember, every time you vote, you're voting for Palm Springs Pride. You're voting for a community. You're voting for me, and you're voting for all of my great friends and my neighbors, and just this amazing dining experience that we're all doing together. Thank you all for coming. Keep voting, and we'll see you next week in the kitchen. Bye.
Favorite chef.
Done.
All right.